But first, and please bear with me, this is still pretty raw. Last week, we farewelled my dad, Senator Jim Molan, at Duntroon Chapel in Canberra, the very place he rocked up to as a 17-year-old, determined to join the army, in what would end up being his first foray into a life dedicated entirely to the service of this nation. He reached the rank of Major General, brave stints along the way in Papua New Guinea, Jakarta, East Timor, Iraq, to name a few. The latter where he was Chief of Staff for the US and Allied forces, the most senior position held by an Australian Army officer in battle in decades. Politics followed, and as is the nature of the beast, Dad's journey was anything but smooth. He finally entered the Senate and can lay claim to being the most individually voted for Australian politician in history. Dad's career was incredible and almost impossible to do justice to, let alone in just a few minutes. But it was a version of Jimmy, the family man, who we, his family, will miss most. All I've ever really wanted to do was to make him and my mum proud, and I know that he was most of the time. As I said during his funeral, I did, on occasion, make that difficult for him. I was a little bit naughty when I was younger. But Dad and I, particularly over the past few years, shared a real love of politics, national security, and Monty Python and Blackadder. The first two, though, enabled us to combine here on Sky, and to have been able to sit here doing what I love, talking to him about what he loves, are some of the most special memories that I have. And I'm determined to honour him and his legacy as I try and carry on without him. Our national security, in times of intense global uncertainty, mattered to him almost more than anything else. He spoke of the threat of war often, consistently warning that we, as a country, are unprepared for what's to come. Not because he desired conflict or found the topic exciting. The complete opposite, in fact. Anyone who has seen the horrors of war, and he had, would not wish it upon anyone. They'd also be the first to tell you that the greatest deterrent to conflict is strength. And building Australia's homeland security and defence capabilities is what Dad fought for. Not just in case, but because the time will come when we will need to defend ourselves. And I can tell you now, we may be part of AUKUS, the Quad, we may have trustworthy alliances with traditionally big, strong, powerful countries, but if the worst case scenario eventuates, then the unfortunate reality could be every man or country for themselves. And he knew that better than anyone. And that's why, even when he felt it fell on deaf ears, he kept prosecuting the argument. For my future, my little girls, for you and for your loved ones. And I'll continue to honour his work, not just because he was the greatest man I'll ever know, but because his love for this country and its people was almost as big as his love for us, his family. And that in itself deserves to be honoured. He was taken from us far too early. And as anyone who's lost a loved one to cancer will know, in an unimaginably cruel way. But he will not die in vain. Dad, I promise you won't. Thank you, and thank you for all your support. It's meant the world. Thank you.